Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Harry Colley, and I've just been taking you through Leicester versus Everton over on the Toffee Blues Twitter. It's been another interesting afternoon to be an Evertonian, and I'm sure many of you feel the same way that you felt after the last league games and the cup defeat in midweek. It's a tough time, and that was a tough watch, but for very different reasons, I thought, to the Southampton game in midweek. I thought the Southampton game, we were rotten. It was a very kind of disjointed team performance. A lot of players there that wouldn't normally play. It was good to see some of the regular starters back in the lineup today. Pickford again, but we'll probably come on and talk about him in a little bit more detail in a bit. It was good to see Lindstrom starting again. I thought he might have been left out following his kind of misses in the cup in the week, and it was also good to see Tarkowski back at the back as well. Where do we start with that one then? Well, let's start with the positives. The first thing is it's a point on the board. Everton's first point of the season. It's a point on the road against a struggling Leicester side, which maybe then makes it feel like less of a point. But at this stage, in the way that we've played so far this season, every point is going to be critical. And it was a very weird game. The weather was atrocious for the majority of the game. They played through thunder and lightning. They played through really heavy hail, and it was a tough watch because of that. I think Everton did start quite positively throughout the first half. I felt that they were very much in control. Leicester looked very, very shaky despite being the home side, probably how we've looked to travelling teams so far at Goodison this season. And they were there for the taking. I thought the first half we created chances, but I thought more than the chances, I thought everyone from the goalkeeper all the way up to DCL up front, they looked more confident. They were playing good passages of play, I thought, throughout the majority of the first half, and we were rightly rewarded with the goal from Ndiaye, who I think is probably signing of the summer. Well, not even probably, I think without a shadow of a doubt, signing of the summer. Great goal from him, deserved his luck when it clipped in off the post, and we went in at half time rightly 1-0 up, and I think possibly we could have maybe had another one. I think Lindstrom again, he's still finding his feet in this Everton team. He didn't look settled in the Southampton game. He looked a little bit more confident today, but again, probably needs to do better with one or two of the chances that fall to him. And then we come out for the second half, and probably until the hour mark, more of the same, really. We definitely dictated play. It was by no means a great battling performance where we were really showcasing the talent that was on the pitch, but we just looked comfortable. We looked in control. And then again, an hour ticks by, and as has been the case for many of the games this season, the tiredness sets in and the composure just drops. We looked so organised for spells, and I'd give a shout out to players like James Garner, who was playing out of position, Young and Keane, who rightly or wrongly, they get a lot of criticism this season. I thought they actually looked pretty stable for a makeshift back four, and then we start giving away really sloppy free kicks, sloppy corners, and has become the norm, and very similar to the goal that we conceded against Southampton. They get a corner, Leicester, they put it in, they feed off the scraps. Pickford's not there. Don't necessarily think it's his fault. It's a very crowded penalty area, and then we find ourselves 1-1, and as soon as that goal goes in, the complexion of the game changes completely. I thought from that point on, we really struggled to string 2 or 3 passes together. Just all of that composure that we saw and that control that we saw in the first half absolutely vanished. And then it was a case of holding on to what we had, and I think you could see that from the manager as well, particularly towards the end of the game. He was just barking orders at the players. I think at one point Leicester had a corner. We had all 11 players in the box defending. There was just something to be said about not losing another league game from a winning position. But here's the reality of the situation. It's a 1-1 draw on the road, which, depending on how the other results had gone this season in isolation, could have been seen as a good result. The reality is it's 1 point. It's the third league game in a row that we've dropped points from a winning position. 2-0 up at Bournemouth, 2-0 up at Villa, 1-0 up today. I think the wider issue here is that we are struggling without the likes of Jared Branthwaite. I think we're struggling without a natural right back in either Seamus Coleman or Patterson, we're really looking fragile still at the back. And although that wasn't the case for a large spell of today's game, you could really see from the squad once they equalised that there was a question mark over could we defend out the draw or could Leicester go and nick it. A word on Leicester. I think if there's a team worse in the league than us, although the points won't see it right now, Leicester look very, very shaky and very unorganized, and also that they don't really have a lot. I think a lot of their chances in the first half, there weren't a lot of chances, but the chances they did have came from Ndidi. I thought Vardy was very quiet, but then you'd want him to be given his age and given the amount of minutes he's been asked to play for Leicester this season. And really, they didn't have a lot coming off of the bench. I thought the lad that scored their goal looked promising. I think he's I think on loan from Arsenal, did very well for them, picked up a scraps couple of yards out. But yeah, word on Leicester, I wasn't that impressed, which does make the result this afternoon a little bit more frustrating. So where do we go from here? We've got an absolutely critical game next weekend now against Palace. That, I mean, the last two games have been must win. This is must win now. I mean, every game going forward until we're further up the table is going to be must win. But for me, the Palace game becomes so crucial. They've struggled this season as well. We shouldn't fear playing against them. And hopefully we can use taking the point today, defending a game out that we could have easily collapsed and lost. Hopefully the players take that as some confidence. And I think shining lights, Ndiaye, great player. I think DCL this season has played well. He's taken his chances. I think McNeil is playing very well as well. I think Lindstrom will come good. I'm already seeing a lot of early criticism for him, but I think he'll come good. I thought the substitutions were interesting. Again, there's been big question marks over Dyche and his substitutions. I thought young Tim coming on was an interesting one. Obviously, he then pushed Decore further up, and it could have maybe paid off. It gave them a little bit more stability in the middle. Harrison coming on for Lindstrom, it was kind of a like for like, and it didn't really do a lot. So they weren't really changes that were going to change the game. And I think that has been one of the biggest criticisms of Dyche's substitutions. So maybe a reprieve for Dyche this week. Whether you sit in the Dyche in or the Dyche out camp, I think it's a reprieve this week. The Palace game at home next weekend is crucial. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to the Toffee Blues on X, on YouTube. Follow us for all the content throughout the week. And yeah, we'll be back again soon with all things Everton.